Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson. Present. Assemblywoman Black. Here. Assemblywoman Brown May. Here. Assemblywoman Carlton. Here. Assemblywoman Cohen. Here. Assemblyman Ellison. Here. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Here. Assemblywoman Hanson. Here. Assemblywoman Martinez. Present. Assemblywoman Titus. Assemblyman Wheeler. Here. Chair Watts.
Here. All right. Everyone's here. We have a quorum. With that, members, we have a decent-sized work session. We also have 2 bill hearings today. I think what we will do, one other thing I just wanted to, actually no, we can go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with our work session, and then we'll move into our bill hearings. So we're going to start in order. We'll begin with SB 33, which revises certain provisions relating to natural resource management. With that, I'll open up the work session and have Mr. Stinisbeck, our policy analyst, lead us through the work session document for this bill.
Thank you, Chair Watts. For the record, Jan Stinisbeck with the Research Division of the LCB. As nonpartisan Senate staff, I cannot advocate for or against any measure comes before this committee. Senate Bill 33 was heard in this committee on May 3rd. It makes various changes relating to natural resource management. Among other things, the bill expands the type of vegetation areas where vegetation is located at the state forest or fire warden is responsible for conserving, protecting, and enhancing. Adds rangeland to the state-owned and privately owned lands for which the state forest or fire warden must supervise or coordinate all forestry and watershed work. And there is one amendment proposed by the City of Henderson and the City of Las Vegas, which makes the following change. It revises the time frame for which the International Wildland Urban Interface Code must be adopted from 1 to 2 years. And for the committee's pleasure, attached to the work session document is also the proposed language by the City of Henderson and the City of Las Vegas. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stinisbeck. Members, are there any questions on SB 33? Seeing none, I'd accept a motion to amend and do pass. Got a motion from Assemblywoman Titus, a second from Assemblywoman Ellison. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries unanimously. I will assign the floor statement on this bill to Assemblywoman Hanson. Next, we have SB 54, which revises provisions relating to the State Board of Agriculture. Mr. Stinisbeck, when you're ready, will you please lead us through the work session document for this bill?
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Jan Stinisbeck. Senate Bill 54 was heard in this committee May 3rd. It revises and expands the membership of the State Board of Agriculture from 11 to 13 members to allow for the cumulative new members as follows: a member engaged in livestock production, a member who is a licensed veterinarian, a member working in the field of supplement nutritional distribution, a member engaged in food manufacturing, animal processing, and 2 members engaged in growing crops, at least one of which is a specialty crop harvested by mechanical cultivation. The Nevada Department of Agriculture, along with the Nevada Cattlemen Association, proposed an amendment which makes the following changes. It revises the number of members engaged in range or semi-range cattle production from 1 to 2, removes the member who is actively engaged in livestock production, and removes the reference to a crop harvested by mechanical cultivation. Again, attached to the work session document is the proposed language as submitted by the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stinisbeck. Members, do we have questions on Senate Bill 54? We'll start. We have a few, and remember, we'll also have discussion on the motion, but we'll start with Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. I did have a question, and I think I noticed that Mr. Guild is here. Perhaps I know a lot of work has been going into this because there had been a lot of concerns that a lot of us had had. So I appreciate the work that's been done, and I just want to make sure in my mind I've got the amendments correct. And so perhaps, particularly now with the Cattlemen's Association's amendment, could I maybe find out how we got to this acceptance? How did that work? And are we comfortable, and how that might work? Would it be okay if I ask
Mr. Guild, would
Mr.
you like to
Guild?
come up and share? I will just clarify that the amendment was submitted by the Department of Agriculture, but Mr.
yeah, I'm
Guild, if you'd
sorry.
like to come
Yes.
up and discuss a little bit of where we're at, how we got there.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Watts, and members of the Assembly Natural Resources Committee. My name is Joe Guild, for the record, and I see that the Director Ott is on the screen. She might have something to say about that too. But briefly, I saw a potential need here to bring a semi-range and range cattle producer back onto the board, because the subsection 2B in the bill, in my opinion, with referencing a person actively engaged in livestock production, didn't really reflect the importance and nature of range cattle production to the state of Nevada. And so I went to the chair and asked his permission to circulate a potential amendment. He graciously gave me that permission, and I want to thank him publicly for doing that. I really appreciate it. And of course, you know, it's easy to tell somebody to go get a job done, do the work yourself. So but I appreciate the permission. And then you all got a memo from me with the proposed amendment and my rationale for doing that. I also sent that to Director Ott, and we arranged to have a conversation on Monday this week. And we had that conversation, and she agreed to the amendment. And I got to tell you, publicly again, I really appreciated her cooperation, her understanding, her willingness to come to a compromise that satisfies a lot of different interests, including hers, by the way. The board, I think, has the balance necessary. It has the additions that will move the board into a more broad-based look at agriculture, with the addition of a nutritionist and a manufacturer of agricultural products. So, like anything in this business, in this legislative process, it takes time and effort and an ability to listen to each other and to create something that might be beneficial to all. So with that, Mr. Chair, I don't know if that's an answer to Assemblywoman Hansen's question, but again, to reiterate, thank you for allowing me to do this, and thanks to Director Watt for a very, I think, a good conversation and a good start on a relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. Director Ott, is there anything that you'd like to say in regards to the amendment that's been provided?
Thank you, Chairman Watts and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Ott, Director for the Department of Agriculture. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Guild for reaching out and having, again, it was a great conversation, and I really appreciate him providing a solution and you know, it was a good thing. He worked with some folks, I worked with some folks, and it's the way I think that the process should work. So I really appreciate him. I also appreciate you, Chair, for helping to, get to the spot that we are now. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Hanson, did you have any follow-up?
No, thank you, Chair, and thank you both for working through this and helping us get, those of us that had some concerns, get to the comfort level that we can now support. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Assemblyman Ellison, did you have a question?
Just a statement, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate you allowing that amendment to go. I thought that was important. It took us and put another seat at the table to listen and to bring everybody together. I'd like to see them open more, for the counties, but right now that was a good start, and I want to personally thank you, so thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other discussion or questions? Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was a definite no on this bill in the beginning, but I wanted to thank Mr. Guild, Director Ott, and the chairman for getting together and getting some representation of the Cattle Association back on there and the cattlemen. I still believe they're a little underrepresented. Should be one more member, but this is definitely something we can live with. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go yes on it. And then again, say thank you for working together on it.
Thank you. Members, any other questions, discussion? Assemblywoman Titus.
Oh, why not? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I definitely appreciate it, but I want to go on record of acknowledging something I said during the hearing that I think we need to all pay attention to, is that the Department of Ag is not the Department of Ag that my grandparents knew. And as we have evolved as a state, and as the needs and the nutrition and the food services and all of those things have evolved in our state, it's important to acknowledge that. So I appreciate that aspect of the Department of Ag, but it's also critical that we don't lose sight of our history. And so the very fact that our director was willing to have that negotiation with the important critical things that most of us hold dear, the history of the state, the cattlemen that still exist, and the ags that we did know, and combined with the ag of our future, I think is really critical. So it's that kind of a negotiation that I truly appreciate in the process. So thank you, Director Ott and Mr. Guild and all people that have been involved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing nobody else, hopefully this will be a short discussion on a motion. With that, I would accept a motion to amend and do pass SB 54. I've got a motion from Assemblywoman Gonzalez, a second from Assemblywoman Titus. Is there any discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to point out, as in what I was referring to in my floor statement today, that sometimes it takes two houses to deal with these membership issues. So we do keep working, and that's why we have a two-house system. So just wanted to make sure to point that out, that every bill has two different chances to get things through it. And memberships on commissions are very contentious issues.
Thank you. Yes, indeed they are. And I just will briefly echo the satisfaction coming from many others at the point that we've reached now when it comes to this bill, and appreciate everyone's willingness to work on it and get it to the place that it's in. So with that, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Motion passes unanimously. And I'll take the floor statement on this one. Next on our work session, we have SB 125, which revises provisions related to falconry. We'll open the work session on this bill, and Mr. Stinisbeck, whenever you're ready, can you please lead us through the work session document?
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Jan Stinisbeck with Research Division. Senate Bill 125 was heard in this committee May 10th. It authorizes a person who is licensed as a master falconer and who meets certain federal conditions to possess a golden eagle under certain circumstances. The Board of Wildlife Commissioners may adopt regulations that authorize certain persons to transport, transfer, possess, or use a golden eagle in falconry. The Commission must adopt regulations that impose civil penalties against a person who violates various prohibitions against tampering with bald eagles and golden eagles. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stenisbeck. Members, are there any questions on Senate Bill 125? Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, more of a statement. I was a little wondering about this bill, but then I saw a video of a golden eagle taking an alligator out of a pond, so I figure I'll vote for it now. Thanks.
Thank you. Members, any additional discussion? Seeing none, I'd accept a motion to do pass SB 125. I've got a motion from Assemblyman Wheeler, a second from, was that Assemblywoman Brown May? Oh, all right. That'll work. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously. And I will assign the floor statement on that bill to Assemblywoman Black. We'll go on to Senate Bill 344, which enacts provisions relating to the importation, possession, we're not going to do that one. We're going to move to SB 370, which revises provisions relating to food policy. So we'll open up the work session on SB 370. Mr. Stenisbeck, whenever you're ready, please lead us through the work session on this bill.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, against Stenisbeck. Senate Bill 370 was heard in this committee on May 10th, and it requires the Director of the State Department of Agriculture to establish the Home Feeds Nevada Agriculture Food Purchase Program to supplement the supply of nutritious food that's available to persons through food banks and certain other providers in Nevada. The Nutritious Food Purchase Account is established in the state general fund for deposits of any money obtained by the Director of the program. Each food bank must submit a quarterly report to the Director concerning the amount of nutritious food that was distributed by the food bank and the manner of such distribution. The Director must submit an annual written report containing certain information to the Council of on Food Security in the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stenisbeck. Members, are there any questions on SB 370? Seeing none, I would accept a motion to amend and to do pass SB 370. I've got a motion from Assemblywoman Carlton. Do I have a second? Got a second from Assemblywoman Titus. Any discussion on the motion?
I think you should pay attention to that motion. Mr. Chairman, when you've got me making the motion and Dr. Titus seconding it, this thing's a done deal.
Indeed it is, but we still have to take the vote. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously. Assemblywoman Carlton, would you be willing to take the floor statement on this bill? Thank you. With that, we will move on to the work session on SB 406, which revises provisions relating to wildlife. Mr. Stenisbeck, whenever you're ready, could you please lead us through the work session document for this bill?
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Jan Stenisbeck. Senate Bill 406 was heard in this committee on May 5th. It authorizes Nevada's Department of Wildlife to designate a paper or electronic form for a tag that is to be attached to a species of wildlife before the holder of a tag takes possession of the species. The holder of an electronic tag must validate it before transporting the wildlife. The bill also removes the requirement that any person 65 years of age or older must have continuously reside in the state for the 5 years immediately preceding the date of the application to qualify for an annual resident specialty combination hunting and fishing license. There's one amendment proposed for this bill by the department, and it provides that what constitutes an unanticipated emergency event, which is an unanticipated spread of communicable disease, extreme drought conditions, a wildfire, or any other similar unanticipated event that puts wildlife habitat, or human life at risk. The amendment also exempts the initial $250,000 received by the department as a gift, donation, bequest, or device, or combination thereof for an unanticipated emergency event from the approval requirements. And lastly, requires the department as soon as practicable to submit a report regarding the gift donation requests or device to the Board of Wildlife Commissioners and the Interim Finance Committee. Thank you, Chair Watts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stinisbeck. Members, any questions or discussion on SB 406? Seeing none, I would accept a motion to amend and do pass SB 406. I've got a motion from Vice Chair Cohen. Do I have a second? Got a second from Assemblywoman Anderson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously. Assemblywoman Titus, I'll assign you the floor statement on that one. All right, we will not be taking action on SB 344 today. With that, we will move on to our bill hearings. We have two bills to be heard today. I think we will start with SB 114, and then we'll do SB 63. So with that, I'd like to open the hearing on SB 114, which authorizes food that contains certain components of hemp to be produced or sold at certain food establishments under certain circumstances. Welcome back to the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources, Senator Goycochea. You may proceed whenever you're ready. I'll open up the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, it's been quite a while since I sat in those seats where you were, but it was always a pleasure, one of the better committees. Again, Senator Pete Goycochea representing Senate District 19 and bringing you SB 114 today. I've got a few opening remarks. Really, the bill is an attempt to establish a market, the processing, and the facilities that we need to support a growing hemp industry in this state. Critical. Clearly, it can be a huge cash crop. We've got a number of farms in southern Nevada, eastern Nevada, and even right here on this western side of the state that are growing some hemp. Again, we're really struggling to make sure we can establish a marketplace. Presenting with me today will be Ms. Donna Bath. She's actually the the director for Silver Lion Farms in White Pine County, and I'll let her walk into her presentation a little bit, explain the industry to you and how big of a process it is in eastern Nevada, how much acreage they do have in, and the cost and the values there, and then I'll come back and walk through the bill with your permission.
That sounds good. Thank you, Senator. Welcome, Ms. Bath. You can proceed whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Donna Bath, and I'm the Director of Community Relations and Special Projects for Silver Lion Farms. We are a 3,000-acre premium organic CBD ingredient supplier, and we're located near Ely, Nevada in White Pine County. I'm offering comments today in support of SB 114. The intent of this bill is to authorize food that contains hemp at the federal legal limit to be produced or sold at food establishments under certain conditions in Nevada. The global CBD market was valued at $2.8 billion in 2020 and is expected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of approximately 21.2% from 2021 to 2028. Due to its healing properties, the demand for CBD for health and wellness purposes is very high, which is the major factor driving the market growth. In addition, the rising acceptance and use of products due to government approvals is a major factor expected to boost productions for CBD-infused products. Given the intense consumer demand and commercial interest in hemp-infused products, I would regretfully submit that Nevada is currently missing a very large manufacturing economic opportunity. There are approximately 16 states that have already passed legislation very similar to SB 114 and are currently enjoying the economic benefit of companies that were interested in adding legal limit CBD to their established food products. and are now manufacturing and selling safe CBD-infused products in their states. Existing Nevada law prohibits a person from selling a commodity or product containing hemp that is intended for human consumption unless it has been tested and labeled in accordance with requirements established by the Department of Health and Human Services. Section 2 of SB 114 would require the department to adapt these needed regulations that identify contaminants of commodities or food products that contain hemp and prescribe tolerances for such contaminants. Currently in Nevada, many food items that claim to contain CBD are being purchased online and from many Nevada retail establishments. These items are being manufactured outside the state of Nevada and seem to be operating in a legal gray area. A 2017 University of Pennsylvania study found that nearly 70% of the CBD products sold online either contained more or less of the compound than their label stated. The proposed regulations in SB 114 would certainly go a long way ensuring consumer and product safety within Nevada. On February 4th of this year, a bipartisan group of federal lawmakers reintroduced H.R. 841, which is the Hemp and Hemp-Derived CBD Consumer Protection and Market Stabilization Act. This is a third piece of cannabis regulation to be filed so far in the 117th session of Congress. The act is identical to a bill that died in Congress last year. The intent of H.R. 841 is to make hemp, cannabidiol derived from hemp, and any other ingredient derived from hemp lawful for use under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act as a dietary ingredient in a dietary supplement and for any other purpose. We are very encouraged by the fact that this federal legislation was reintroduced so early in the new Congress and feel strongly that the passage of SB 114 would position Nevada early to reap the economic benefits of the expanding market for hemp-infused food products and industries once it's passed federally. Manufacturers that are very interested in enhancing their products with CBD in order to meet the growing hemp-infused product demand are going to locate in states that allow them to do so legally. Unfortunately, Nevada is currently missing this opportunity. I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bath, for your presentation. Does that conclude your presentation? Sure. Well, come on back up. Give us a quick walkthrough of the bill. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I hope we don't get in too much trouble for the little switch here. Yes, we'll just quickly walk through the bill. It was patterned after a piece of legislation that came out of the state of Virginia. And again, really what we're looking to do with this is to get hemp approved. And I believe we also have an amendment that came forward from Health and Human that you are in receipt of that incorporates seed and hemp oil as well into this list. And again, as we walk into it, I don't need to read you the bill, I'm sure, but it defines hemp and hemp components, what is considered to be hemp products. Section 2 of the bill, let's see, as I walk into Section 2, it identifies contaminants of the commodities and products used and which foods that can contain hemp components as defined. It defines what foods can contain hemp components. It describes food, which is not hard to figure out. A person who holds a permit pursuant to NRS 446-875 and operates a food establishment can, in fact, now incorporate, with the passage of this bill, would be able to put infused hemp products or commodities that were grown in the state of Nevada into their foods. And as Ms. Bath said, we've presently got it all over the state. You can walk in stores everywhere you look. It's got the CBD oil in it. You can buy hemp gummies, hempvana. And again, that's not legal for us to produce in the state. And our growers are missing a huge piece of that. Again, walking through the bill, a food shall not be deemed to be adulterated solely because it does contain hemp. Without passing this bill, technically that is the law. The FDA did adopt in 2018 federal guidelines that allows for it. But again, in the state of Nevada, we just never brought this legislation forward, and it's not a lengthy bill. We did run into some issues with Health and Human Services, but again, working with, and I want to thank Margot Chappelle. She was very instrumental in changing some of the stuff, and then finally agreeing, removing the fiscal note, which was huge, the fact that they do have to establish it by regulation and clear the path for us to now incorporate hemp into food products. And of course, clearly this is all under the threshold of hemp has to be 0.03, I believe, THC or less. And I know you've got another bill behind this one that is very intriguing as well. So I know we can't speak to the next bill, but I think they work hand in hand. So with that, I'll stand for any questions. Again, I don't want to read the bill to you. You all can read better than I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Goycochea. Members, any questions for the presenters of this bill? Let's see, we've got Assemblyman Ellison first, then Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Gogochian. Ms. Bass. Ms. Bass, maybe you could probably tell me, there's several states that's right now that's using the hemp in the food products. And you showed me a little thing that was made in Oregon or wherever it was at. Can you hit some of the states that actually does the product and sells it, and they grow it and produce it and sell it in them states?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to Assemblyman Ellison. Currently, there are 16. I can name you a few off the top of my head, but I'm sure I'd be missing a few. We took our legislation pattern after Virginia. Virginia kind of has a head start. Montana, Oregon, let's see. I'm going to miss a few, but there's 16 right now that currently do that, and more are jumping on board. In your last session, the legislature passed NRS 439-532, which basically gave permission, but what we're really missing right now is the regulations to be able to do that. So in the state of Nevada right now, it is absolutely illegal for anyone to manufacture and sell CBD in the state of Nevada without those regulations. By having the regulations in place, that will open up our Nevada market, and it will also make anyone who wants to sell that product live by the same regulations that manufacturers in Nevada would have to do. So right now I have a box of gummies in my purse, actually, that I brought, and they are manufactured in Oregon, and they are being sold in Ely. So Senator Gogochea is correct. You know, you can go anywhere in downtown Carson City, find CBD, whatever you want to find. But I would submit that they're under the gray area of the law because there are no regulations that mandate what the ingredients are, what the percentage of the CBD is. You may be getting snake oil, for all you know. So there's really nothing in Nevada right now that regulates that industry. And because it's such a growing industry and the market is booming, I see that as a huge economic loss for Nevada, for us not to have those regulations and put everyone on the same level playing field.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for a second. Ms. Bass, or maybe Senator, have you any idea is there anybody out there right now asking to use this product right now and that this thing might hit the ground and start moving?
We are a producer of the ingredient, We are not a manufacturer. We do not intend to manufacture any of the product, but we do produce the ingredient. We have a large demand for that, for our product, but again, it's outside of Nevada because Nevada is not legal to produce hemp-infused products for human consumption. So if that market opens up, yes, I see that market not just for our farm, but for farms across the state of Nevada, to be able to bring manufacturers to the state of Nevada to capitalize on this billion-dollar industry that is growing by 21% between now and 2028.
Just to follow up, if I may, Senator Goycochea, for the record, and you have to understand, these products are being sold in the state today without regulation. And I know some of them have been tested, claim to have the CDB oil in them, but when you test them, some of them have nothing, and it might be olive oil in them. So again, if we're going to deal with the industry, we're going to deal with hemp products, we need to establish these regulations, which will be required in the statute. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on, I believe, Assemblyman Wheeler.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that most of my question was answered, but just very quickly, I think it's a good bill. I thought we had actually fixed this in the last session, but I guess not. How much of this currently is coming from overseas, places like China, et cetera? Does anyone have any idea? Because we know we can't trust that coming in here.
Thank you. Through Mr. Chairman, through Donna Bath for the record, through you to Assemblyman Wheeler. There is a large amount coming from China, and most of those sales are being done on internet. And we all know you can get anything you want on the internet. Hopefully this bill, if it's passed, will put some regulations that are going to at least guarantee that if you're buying a bottle of CBD, you know that's what you're getting, and you're not getting olive oil, or you're not getting things that you wouldn't want in your body. It needs to be identified, and it needs to be correct on the percentage of CBD that you are getting.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for being here and enjoying the presentation. And my 14-year-old pug is a huge fan and it really has made a difference. So I think I am actually lucky and I'm getting some that is the real deal. But I would certainly rather buy local, support local. So I love this bill. I'm curious in the legislative history, and I apologize, maybe I should have researched this myself, why we didn't catch this. I know in 2019, there was a lot of legislation around hemp and getting this, dealing with it legislatively. How did we miss this component of it? Or was it a deliberate thing because there was some pushback? I'm just curious why we've got this kind of blaring hole here.
Well, I think, and I'll have to look to Ms. Bath to correct me, I think we ventured with the bill last session, just didn't get any legs under it. And then the other piece of it, we were clearly been waiting all this time for FDA approval for the feds to move, and it just continues to piecemeal along. And so now clearly FDA and Department of Agriculture does have guidelines that for hemp and hemp production. So we're gradually getting there. And then, of course, I think the next piece of the next bill you guys have got up will further enhance that, especially on the grower side. So we're just trying to get into the first step, I believe, that make sure that we can, in fact, make it legal to process and incorporate and use in the state and using Nevada-grown product. But it's why we didn't get there. There was a lot of moving parts, and I'm sure you're very well aware of that. Everybody's trying to make sure we didn't overstep federal law, and at this point, I think we're good.
All right, members, any additional questions for our presenters? Vice Chair Cohen.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you both for the presentation. I know that hemp is different than cannabis, obviously, and so you wouldn't want the same regulations as those are coming from the Cannabis Compliance Board, but is there any type of overlap that is intended as far as like what needs to be on the packaging for parents to see and to keep children out of things, that type of thing?
Thank you. For the record, Donna Bath, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Assemblywoman Cohen. In the NRS 439-532 lays out, and that was passed in the 2019 section, what we are missing, and I can't answer why the regs were not done in that last session, but they weren't. And so we are correcting that. We are looking for packaging, we're looking for, and we'll certainly be happy to work with the department. But our goal for this is we want to make sure that the consumer is getting what they're getting. You're correct that hemp is not the same as cannabis. It's a derivative, but in order to be considered hemp, it has to be less than 0.03 of THC. And there's heavy guidelines on testing already in place through the department that we have to be registered and certified and pay all our fees and do everything that they have to do in the cannabis world. But cannabis, for medical, cannabis is legal, and hemp, we're looking to have it infused in food and animal products for consumption for that. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, there will be regulations set out by the department, and some of them do mirror what is being done for cannabis, i.e. the packaging, your certifications, your testing, all that has to be done. It's very, very similar to what has to be done for cannabis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you again both for your presentation. With that, we will open up support on Senate Bill 114. We'll start with anyone in the room wishing to offer testimony in support of SB 114. Seeing none, let's go to Broadcast Production Services to see if we have anyone wishing to provide support by phone.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on SB 114, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll go on to testimony in opposition of SB 114. First, we'll see if we have anyone in the room. Seeing none, BPS, can we see if we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in opposition by phone?
To testify in opposition on SB 114, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And finally, we'll go to testimony in neutral on SB 114. Seeing none in the room, let's see first if we have anyone on Zoom wishing to provide testimony in neutral on SB 114. And seeing none, BPS, can we see if we have anyone wishing to offer testimony in neutral by phone?
To testify in neutral on SB 114, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 530, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Teresa Hayes, TERESAHAYES. I am the Environmental Health Program Manager for the Food Program with the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health. I am happy to answer any questions you may have today regarding this bill.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you again for making yourself available. BPS, we'll go on to the next caller in neutral.
Chair, there are no more callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. And just checking, Ms. Jepson, do you want to offer any testimony on this bill?
For the record, Ashley Jepson, Nevada Department of Agriculture. No, I think some of the background that I'll give on my testimony will help provide some clarification on some of the cannabis-specific questions.
Great, thank you. Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss anyone. All right. With that, I'll close testimony on SB 114. Senator, would you like to make any closing remarks?
I want to thank you all for hearing the bill. I hope you can support it again. And as Ms. Jepson said, I think SB 63, I believe it is has a lot of intricate pieces of this same bill, and this just supports it. So I would appreciate your support as you move forward. It is a good bill for a good industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and don't go too far, Senator. So I'll close the hearing on SB 114. Pursuant to Assembly Standing Rule 57, I've been given authorization by the Speaker to waive the 24-hour period before work sessioning a bill. So I'd like to open up the work session on SB 114. Members, are there any questions? All right. With that, I would accept a motion to do pass SB 114. All right, I've got a lot of motions, but I'm going to take Assemblywoman Titus for the first. I'll take Assemblyman Ellison for the second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously of the members present. And Assemblywoman Titus, I'll assign you that floor statement. Thank you. All right. We'll now move on to our second bill hearing, which is SB 63, revising provisions relating to hemp. And we do have Ms. Jepson here to present the bill. So I'll open up the hearing on SB 63. Ms. Jepson, you can proceed whenever you're ready.
For the record, Ashley Jepson with the Nevada Department of Agriculture. I'd like to thank Chairman Watts and members of the committee for the opportunity to present this bill. I'll start by just giving a little bit of context pertaining to NRS 557. This statute is specific to the registration of hemp. So in order to grow hemp in any state, it has to be done so under a state or through approval from USDA. So the Department of Agriculture specifically, that's what we handle. Folks register with us. We ensure that they meet federal compliance, and that really has to do with analyzing the THC. It's a cannabis crop just like marijuana. The only way to tell the difference between hemp and marijuana is to do a chemical analysis to actually evaluate that THC, that psychoactive cannabinoid in the cannabis. So with that, most of what we have in this specific BDR is getting our statute up to standard with the Code of Federal Regulations. There have been some things that have rolled out fairly recently, so we're trying to get that up to par. So getting straight into the bill, this Section 1 specifically, this was an amendment that has gone through, and I just wanted to give a little context here. This had to do with the department being able to accept fingerprints in order for us to do FBI background checks. That is a requirement. The FBI background check specifically is a requirement of the federal program. And we did have the statutory authority to require that as a condition of licensure. However, the challenge was we came to find out that in order for the department to actually help with this process and them being able to successfully complete the background checks, we needed to have statutory authority specifically as listed that would allow us to receive that and specify in statute what the condition of licensure was for. So that's the first thing you're going to see in Section 1 and why that was added. Section 1.5, language was added and you saw an amendment go through involving crop remediation. So this was actually a fairly new addition to the federal requirements that would allow for a crop that exceeded the federal limits for THC to be remediated as opposed to just disposed of. So we wanted to ensure that standard was available for producers, as our goal is to just meet minimum federal standards and not exceed that. Section 2, this is updating the department being listed specifically as the authorized sampling agent. Initially, when this statute was developed, the program was still in its infancy, and as it's evolved, it's been clarified from USDA that the expectation is that sampling is performed either by the Department of Agriculture of the state with approval or an authorized sampling agent. So as a result, Section 2 needed to be updated, as a grower cannot submit the sample to the lab to determine actual compliance. So that provides a little background on that. Pertaining to Section 3, this has to do with ensuring that false information is not provided on the application and making sure that all applicable laws are followed. So a portion of that is making sure it's up to standard with new federal language, but also something that the department encountered specifically is concern from our county commissioners, from other local government agencies pertaining to folks being authorized to grow hemp that didn't have appropriate water rights, or the zoning wasn't situated to allow for them to produce, or that it was just in general a violation of their ordinance. Some of them do have limitations involving cannabis production. So in order to work with these agencies and to make sure that we were trying to make it a fairly streamlined process, we included that language to make sure that folks are doing those checks before they're putting their applications in, and that communication has taken place. So we're not issuing a license that would conflict with local ordinance issues. I believe that covers most of my bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So that will conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Ms. Jepson. We do have some questions. I believe we'll start with Assemblyman Ellison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to go first. I have a meeting to go to, but I do have a question. I was kind of shocked when it says that you had to have the fingerprinting done, and the reason is because you can smoke a semi-load of hemp and never get stoned like you would something else. So I couldn't understand why you'd have to do the fingerprinting for hemp.
For the record, Ashley Jepson, Nevada Department of Agriculture. So that is specific to, there are requirements that involving drug-related history for somebody that's applying to grow hemp. So being that the crop looks exactly like marijuana, making sure that, performance history wouldn't pose bigger threats of black market marijuana, I think was a big part of the intent there. And again, we're just reflecting federal requirements on that. But that was a big part of the reasoning behind, as we have seen hemp folks produce under hemp when they're actually trying to grow marijuana. So it is a potential opportunity for black market marijuana.
Thank you. All right, let's see. We'll go on to Vice Chair Cohen.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Jepson, in a couple of spots in Section 1.5, Sub 2 and Sub 3, there's mention of the determination of the THC concentration exceeding the maximum, but there's also a way to it says that you can attempt to remediate. How do you remediate a crop like that?
For the record, Ashley Jepson, and thank you for the question. So they have, USDA has released guidance specific to that. So one of the and more common practices that we anticipate in seeing is they can actually chop up the biomass of the hemp, and then as it's, let me back up a little bit. The THC is concentrated in the flower. So the flower, if that's where the THC concern is going to be. So one of the remediation options is that they can chop up the entire crop and homogenize it, and we can come out and resample. And if that, so being the root, the stalk, the leaves would likely dilute the amount of THC, and it would have to be sold in that form. But if we came back out and tested it and it met that THC threshold, then that would be considered remediation. Another option would be to cut off the flowers if they just wanted to sell the stalk, so there was still at least some form of product marketability would be another example.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? All right, seeing none, thank you again for the presentation, Ms. Jepson. With that, we'll open it up for testimony on SB 63. We'll begin with testimony in support, and we'll start with anybody in the room wishing to offer testimony in support. Seeing none, BPS, can we go to the phones and see if we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in support there?
To testify in support on SB 63, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to testimony in opposition of SB 63. First in the room, seeing none, we'll go to the phones. BPS, can we see if we have anyone there?
To testify in opposition on SB 63, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And finally, we'll move to testimony in neutral on SB 63. First in the room, seeing none. Broadcast, can we see if we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in the neutral position by phone?
To testify in neutral on SB 63, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. With that, Ms. Jepson, are there any closing remarks that you'd like to make?
For the record, Ashley Jepson? No, just thank you for your time and the opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much. With that, I will close the hearing on SB 63, and we're going to take a very brief recess. Hold on. All right, members, the committee will come back to order. Committee will come back to order. With that, we're going to open up a work session on Senate Bill 63. So are there any additional questions on Senate Bill 63? Seeing none, I'd accept a motion to do pass SB 63. I've got a motion from Assemblywoman Martinez, a second from Assemblyman Wheeler. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously of the members present, and I will assign that floor statement to Vice Chair Cohen. All right, members, I believe that concludes the items that we're going to take action on for today. That leaves one item left on our agenda, which is public comment. So with that, we'll turn it over to Broadcast Production Services one more time to see if we have anyone wishing to provide public comment today.
Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no more callers at this time.
Thank you, and we'll provide an opportunity for anyone in the room wishing to provide public comment. Seeing none. All right, that concludes our workload for today, members. We may be meeting on Friday briefly for some additional work session. So just please keep an eye out. We'll be communicating if that happens when we all need to come together. Otherwise, thanks for your time and attention today, and this meeting is adjourned.